So welcome back to Wednesday night's Drawing by Hand with New York Gold Tours. I'm Loretta Jones, CEO and founder, Vision Strategy 101. So continuing with what we did last week with the squares representing coordinates here on the earth, in our space on earth, elaborating on what we did previous week. We can look at some of the symbolic meanings of a square. So in algebra, in math, the square is representing the result of multiplying a number by itself. And so in geometry, the square is important in the definition of the area that it is. So in both of those, it's about what the thing is. So when we think of coordinates, we can think of our position, our locale, as more defined, power increased when coordinated with those parameters. So more important. So what's important? Function. What will happen in the present, in the future, and for legacy in recording of the past. And appearance. Will it be highlighted locally, globally? Will it be subdued? And are you happy with us? Or do you want to see change? In spirituality, the square is about stability, grounding, balance, and the material and spiritual foundations of life. I looked up some of the symbolic meanings of squares in spirituality. It says that a solid, unwavering foundation is represented by its 4 equal sides and right angles, being firmly planted. It's a powerful tool in meditation and spiritual practice to channel excess energy and to connect with the physical world. So let's go and read some more fundamentals of what makes a square symbolic this way. Okay, so it also says that their connection to earth and the material realm is important. Across cultures, the square is associated with the earth element and the material plane. It represents the 4 cardinal directions: north, south, east and west, and the four elements, earth, air, fire, and water, highlighting the sacredness of the physical world and our role as stewards of nature. And then for balance and personal growth, the four corners of a square can represent the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects of life, emphasizing harmony and balance. Its structure reminds us to cultivate equilibrium within ourselves and our communities, fostering resilience, fairness, and a sense of order in both personal and collective experiences. Physical and metaphysical significance. The square also embodies logic, practicality, and completeness, appealing to those seeking calmness and organization. In dreams or meditative visualization, squares can signify acceptance, comfort, and the stability of one's environment, reinforcing the importance of a solid foundation for spiritual and personal development. Okay, so I have here a cube. It's amber, and amber is said to sometimes be more than, it can be hundreds of millions of years old. And so with this, it's a square on 6 sides, a cube. And so we're going to draw a cube and think of, and by the way, I have this, but I promised it to someone. So until I give it to them, it's mine. But so what we'll do is, in terms of coordinates, we'll begin to study the fact that we have automatic coordinates, whether we know them or not, whether we want to acknowledge them or not, that ground us in the reality of the stability and balance, the excess energy that we can connect with. Those are positives. And so when we think in terms of coordinates, we can also think of above and below in terms of as if a cube, because we have definite foundation and we have definitely ceiling as well. In terms of thinking of coordinates of where we are, it's a top that we can extend upward into rectangle, but which is another symbolism that we'll look at going forward. But we can also see it as a square. We don't have to think in terms of the outermost of the atmosphere where the square is. We can think in terms of whatever our perception is of our coordinates. So if we're thinking of in terms of arm's reach, okay, so arm's reach, or even bent, we have north, south below our feet, east, west. And that can be in front of us, around us, below us. We can think of it in terms of a surround. And when we do that, we're connected to the literals of the coordinates, because the coordinates go like this, around the globe this way, and then around the globe this way. And there is a cross section that makes a square. So we can begin to look at that by drawing a cube. And so a clean sheet of paper, and it's very easy. All we have to do is decide how big we want to make our square, and it should be something that fits in the center, that will start a little bit off to the left. So I would say 2 inches on a normal 8.5 by 11 size sheet of paper. So I'm going to do the 2 by 2, and once you decide how many inches you want it, you just keep repeating that in all the directions. So it's very easy. So the foundation of the cube, you can go ahead and do the 2 inches. So with a sheet of paper and ruler. Going up from the right side, on the bottom of the square, going up to the 2, another 2 inches. Then lining up the 2 to that top point, and balancing the bottom so that it's even. Go across to the beginning. I could have chosen a darker pencil. And the 2 inches on the far side. So we have our square. Then we're going to do 2 inches on an angle to the bottom right corner. Then the same 2 inches on an angle, same angle, so lining it up at the same angle and balancing the bottom of the ruler with the bottom line of the cube that we're making. From the 2 into the top right corner. Another 2 inches at the same angle, so measuring within the line of that last line that we made, making sure you have an equal in between the whole line of it with the ruler. Go from the top left corner of the square out to the 2 again, so that it looks like this. And now we'll just connect those lines. So with 2 inches, didn't connect all the way, so we'll just connect it and connect it on the edge. Okay, so we have a cube. Then next week, actually, that's larger than, I'm not sure that the side one shouldn't have been shorter because that looks like a rectangle. Actually, what we'll do, so we'll just use our eye and make it shorter. So it should be shorter, not the full 2 inches. Okay, that's more like it. And we can erase those other lines. And then we'll use the colors that we have for this. That we used last week. Next week. And so you should begin to think about where on earth your favorite or your most, where on earth, you should begin to think about where on earth is your favorite space that you'd like to think of when you look in terms of coordinates in a surrounding way of above, below, and surrounding. So, so the surrounding, so the coordinates above are a measurement. So it doesn't have to be, you don't have to think of it in terms of atmosphere. It can be thought of in terms of, or like the top of the atmosphere. No, we can think of it in terms of a measurement. It's a measurement of how many feet from Earth that we are. And so that we are. And so we can come up with the approximates of those things next week for a favorite place on Earth that we would like to start to chart the coordinates for. Also in terms of symbolic vision strategy meaning. So, though vision strategy is not just symbolic, it's very literal and factual and tangible here in reality. So I hope you enjoy seeing yourself in terms of your position on the globe and the square that is foundational and definitive in a solid, unwavering, powerful tool that you can employ for yourself in ownership of your position here on Earth. See you next week. Have a good one, and vision squarely.